It feels like I only have just filmed one of these. It was 2 days ago? 2 days ago we were out with you. Obviously you don't know this. This is going to be a week and 5 days until you see this vlog. But yeah, it feels like you've just been here. So welcome back, welcome back. Today we are in Glen Nevis and we are hoping to get away from the tourists. That's the plan, isn't it, Pauline? To get away from the tourists, and we're going to head down to the river at the bottom of Glen Nevis and hopefully get some composition shooting up at this peak and shooting down at the peaks down at the bottom of the glen, and yeah, just some nice river, springtime, woodland photography. That's what we're after today. Nothing too complicated, just a nice mellow time and capture some, nice images. Fingers crossed. Sorry for anyone who's from the Black Country. I wasn't taking a mick, I promise. But yeah, on with the vlog. So at the moment, we're trying to find a clear view. We have lots of branches coming up and over the river. Maybe this is why it's a location I've never seen photographed. But the challenge is half of the battle. And to succeed, which I think we just have, oh my, check this out. So where I'm going over the river is a little bit treacherous, a little bit slippery, and I'm sure for those of you that have been following my videos before, this won't be a piece of advice that is just touching your ears. Always get set up, check your lenses clean before you climb out to treacherous locations. Second top tip. First of all, make sure your clamp is on tight and then extend one leg fully. So that with that one leg, you can use it as an aid to balance yourself. And you don't need to press hard on it, it's just to help. Okay, so I've made it out now. And I've got a nice clear run heading up. I've got beautiful light on that peak and I've got dark storm clouds. I've gone for a camera in portrait for obvious reasons. Means I get to elongate the foreground. Okay, I've got a nice little runway coming through the rocks this way. I'm about to lose my light. So I'd probably shut up and get the shot. And there we are. I've got that shot, 3 different exposures, one for the peak, one for the clouds, and one for the water. Between them, I'll be able to blend them together to hopefully make it worthwhile traveling out here. Okay, so all around me right now, there is lots of big waterfalls. But big waterfalls with a wide angle lens, they get flattened. So sometimes the best thing to do is to find a little section just like this down here and then get really close to it. So I'm still gonna have the same subject, still gonna be that peak, it's still gonna be them dark clouds, but I hope that it's gonna look way better because I'm using a wide angle and getting close. So what I'm doing now is I'm just seeing where the splash effect comes up. Because I don't want it to splash me. I don't want it to be constantly having to dry my lens. So my lens really, it's not quite wide enough. But it does mean that I get to come nice and far away from that little splash. So if you remember this last shot, where everything looked really far away, the scene looked kind of flat and a little bit boring, if I'm honest. If it wasn't for the sky and the light on the peak, it would be a dud. But now, because I've gone closer to the water, I'm starting to accentuate this little tiny rapid. It's only tiny, like a mouse might have a good time on it, but I wouldn't be able to kayak on it. By getting close down to it, I've started to create these nice, interesting lines coming up into this peak, this little funnel chute coming straight up into the peak of the mountain. It's quite a gap, but because I've come closer, I've enlarged this and made that smaller, which, fingers crossed, creates a better scene. So the first thing I did was dry up that front element. Next thing, I cover that cloth. So the light's looking really good right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to capture the light. I dry my lens cloth off, make sure that I've got no drips on it. 2-second timer, and I've captured that light. So the next thing, f16 again. I want to go for a slightly longer shutter speed for this water. That might be a little bit slow. So if you check out on this picture here, I've really slowed it down, but because the water's coming through, that's only half a second. It started to flatten and become boring. And that's looking much better. I really like that. And now I've got a nice light part in the clouds just above the mountains. So I'm going to expose to them clouds now. Going back to f11, raising that exposure to 1/40th of a second and firing that off. And that's going to give me a nice dramatic sky. Water, interesting. Light, interesting. Clouds, interesting. If you compare the two final shots at the end, the one where the water is far away doesn't look as good. And that is one of the perks of using a wide angle lens. What we're going to do now though, we're going to go for a wander downstream and see if we can find another shot looking the other way. Look at the light on them peaks. How can I get it to expose for the... No. It won't do it, but it is absolutely beautiful. I'm just not sure how to get a shot of it. So we came down, fingers crossed, hoping that we could get a clear view of that peak there with this waterfall. But you've got branches coming down off this tree, coming up off here. Just not a clean view at all. So I think we're going to have to do a bit of a climb back up. And fingers crossed, we can find one on the other side. So we're really starting to struggle, really. We keep finding these epic waterfalls, but can't find a focal point. The light is gone on the peak up here. That would work. Just have it like that. Maybe that'll work. Okay, so I've got my last shot. It's not the best shot in the world, but I think it's interesting enough. It's a good teaching point, and you'll like this, you'll like this. Again, like I said, I'm going to set up away from the danger, and that's so if it all goes wrong, I don't lose everything. I'm going to have a nice low tripod, and I think as close to this edge as possible. And that's looking good. So because I don't have a strong focal point, because I don't have that strong focal point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to accentuate my foreground. And I have quite an interesting foreground. I'm still going to focus on the furthest thing in my shot, and that means that everything in the foreground will be acceptably sharp. And I'm not really going to work this shot in this image because it doesn't have light, it's very flat. I'm not getting the composition I wanted towards the mountains over there. And it's alright, But what I thought it was useful was showing you how, if the subject isn't that great, how you can point your camera down, accentuate that foreground. But out of the three images, I think number 2 is going to be the best. And that is because I used my wide angle for the benefit of that distortion by getting close to that water and enlarging that water, and then cutting out the middle scene, really, because I got down low, I then had this scene and that scene, and I brought them together and I made them one. And I think that's going to be the strongest picture. The first picture, yeah, no. The next picture just needed a stronger subject. But I hope you've had a lovely time watching this video if you have made it this far. If you do enjoy this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and I hope that maybe I've given you some interesting information using a wide angle lens. But that's going to be all from me, it's going to be all from Pauline. Hola! And have a lovely week, people. Get out with your camera, get shooting, and have a little play around. Right, peace out, peeps.